Use your difference to make a difference.
We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
Every story can change the world.
My name is Tsunami, but you will soon see why they call me Slay.
Bobbly, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a character. I'm the guy that brings the joy into the room.
Life will throw you challenges, but it's about how you handle the process that will reveal your true potential.
My journey is to take One Africa to the world.
I'm a tomboy. I like to get down and dirty when I need to.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Cover your top before you're born.
Build a team, execute the dream.
I believe sometimes in life you have to create your own opportunity.
My motto in life is simple. Don't worry, be happy.
Welcome back to MENA TV. Today we're going to be discussing domestic violence. What is considered domestic violence? Just a simple definition that we can start with.
Comes in all shapes and
It does.
I mean, it could be physical.
Physical and emotional abuse
yeah.
towards someone that...
Sexual.
Abuse.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah.
So it's
Financially abused. What's that? Like...
Financial abuse for me, it's when a lady or a woman you're talking to knows that you can't afford something and then she wants that thing just because she thinks, you know, she wants to dig in your pocket.
That's financial.
Financially.
Emotionally, it could be, you know, using verbally and then physically, obviously.
I have a
like
good
that.
one, like a girl, like a female takes your card or a guy takes your credit card
Yeah.
without asking you.
Domestic is like
Domestic
a
is
physical.
it's the same thing. No, it's not.
Domestic
It's
is not
the
just
same.
physical,
Domestic is
though.
not just physical.
I know, but it includes like jealousy,
right?
insecurities. That all leads to domestic abuse. But I wouldn't say that's emotional
Yeah,
abuse.
but
But I
what-
wouldn't say
financially-
financial abuse. Probably that will lead to domestic abuse.
Okay, so
But we're
But
saying
it's-
financial is part of
it's-
domestic.
It's
Yeah.
part of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's part
that's
of
what
it,
I'm trying to
okay.
say.
okay, so it's a broad range,
Yeah,
right?
it is super broad.
So just to narrow it down, we're going to be talking about with relationships.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So would you think it's ever okay to hit a woman?
No,
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And do you feel like this is just very common with men doing it, or is it also
The female.
in reverse?
Because some women take it too far. And men have to defend themselves as well. I'm not saying every little thing you're gonna, smack her back, but some men
shake
get
your head a little
attacked.
bit.
I think women instigate and provoke in a sense because from a lot of situations that I see, because women know that the man can get in trouble, if things are not going her way and if it's an argument and she feels like she needs to win, and this is not speaking from experience because I don't take men to that level where I feel like I need to call the cops on them. But a lot of women will go there and slap them up or call them all types of names or say stuff to them like, you ain't shit, you ain't this and that. I've seen it a lot to the point where, the flesh is weak. Sometimes the guy just reacts.
It's true.
Just shake it. Just shake your head.
Scare
Just
her a
shake
little
your
bit, right?
wig.
Shake the knife out of her hand, right?
Snatch her hair off or something.
I think
just take off the
I
wig.
think that
I think people
domestic
should shake their hands
abuse
to
goes both ways. I mean, it can come from the man or the woman. I just think that for the most part, it's more focused on men because I don't know. I guess
They're
stronger.
Yeah.
Viewed as like the dominant person.
So women often victimized?
You are often victimized, but a lot of times, women do the abuse and they provoke for sure. I say sometimes women provoke. I think that it's very easy to always blame the man in the relationship, but sometimes women do provoke. I think that they're abusive women in relationships for sure. Women who hit men, and because they know that they're the women and the men, you know, are not supposed to hit them, they hit the man and think that they're not gonna get hit back. And sometimes, you know, that tends to be overlooked in society because there's a stigma that, you know, when somebody is getting abused, it's always the man that is abusing the woman. So I think women can definitely provoke in situations.
Right.
Yeah, but I also want to, you know, for example, if we stick it here to the United States, it's 1 in 4 women have been abused throughout their lifetime. That's the stat that's out there.
Who gave you
and
that
I think.
I want to know who gave you
Let's just go with the point. Let's just go with the point. Right. The whole point that I'm trying to make is that, yes, it definitely goes both ways. But for sure, you know, I think one thing we have to be careful about is where we don't end up victim blaming, where we don't give victims or survivors rather a chance to voice out their opinion.
Sure.
Because sometimes they get in a position where they feel like if they voice out opinion, no one's going to believe them, or the person will be judged. So, yeah, while at the same time we have to acknowledge that it goes both ways, we also have to make sure that we are creating platforms where people feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I've been hit, I've been abused. And we also have to do a better job of educating what abuse is, because as we just had the opening conversation, we were just saying what is abuse. That is, you know, it's not just physical. There was a disagreement that financial abuse is actually a form of domestic abuse, and I said, no, I agree that financial abuse is a form, because I've seen many situations where the man is the only source of income, and one of the reasons why the woman can't leave is because who's gonna, you know, the man would threaten, hey, who's gonna pay for your school? Who's gonna pay for your son? Who's gonna pay for your daughter? And that's what I meant by that. But I mean, I don't. You know, I think it's a form of domestic abuse. There are many things that could happen. Someone just got arrested the other day for texting someone to go kill himself, and the person had to kill himself.
Yeah, I heard that.
What did that happen?
But there
a 17-year-old girl, she persuaded and convinced her boyfriend to kill himself and commit suicide.
So that
and she texts him stuff like, "You'll never do it. You coward. You weak." And the guy.
That's also abuse.
That's emotional.
Yeah, that is emotional abuse.
So that stuff happens. So we have to do a better job of educating. And so sometimes the reason why I say that is because I don't like when I hear you asked for it, right? Because you wore that.
Of course.
Or that's sexual. Or you got this. You know, you were talking too smart, or you embarrassed me. So I just think, you know.
But then can I say this? Can I say this? Because I know some. I'm not saying some women I know intentionally like to get abused, like physically, like they enjoy it. Experience. No, not sexual. Like they enjoy. They like the masculine dude who controls them.
So you're saying
some females.
I think
it's true.
I guess it shows that the guy.
The reason why I said women enjoy being abused is I've seen. I've experienced, not personally experienced it, but I have watched and I've seen, like, especially growing up back home in the hood, like you see the same couple arguing all the time. It's like hit me, and then the next day you see them holding hands, and then the next minute you see them doing that like right by your window. So like, I just feel like yes, they enjoy that.
The guy loves them. Like,
yeah,
in a very messed up way.
Because they don't know any other type of love.
And then it can lead to like
they probably were raised. And that's what they see in their home.
It leads to like death and stuff like that. So sometimes it's not always, you know. Sometimes the girls ask for it. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move into that shortly.
Okay.
But I want to ask a question to you, men. Why do you think men do abuse women in relationships?
It could be insecurity.
Okay, on the male part.
It could be insecurity. They feel like they feel like they need to flex their muscle somewhere. Because you gotta also look at it this way. A lot of dudes that would hit a woman so freely may not even fight another man.
That's true.
The reason why I feel men do it is definitely power, and there's some element of insecurity. Sometimes the men that do it do end up fighting other guys, but it shows you're one dominant. This is one area where you're dominant, and sometimes if you do that, it's, you know, it feeds your ego one, but it also makes you realize that even if she stays, there's some addictive mentality that some men have where if she's staying, even though I'm going to do this to her, she loves me. So it could be a test of, and it's a very unhealthy type of thing. So a lot of times men get a sense of power from inflicting pain on others, particularly women, and sometimes if it comes with them having a particular status, it feeds into their ego. And especially if a woman were to stay in that situation, it makes them feel like no matter what I can do, in the situations, you're still gonna say. So when you're raised up to see how men treat women, that subconsciously goes into your mind. And if you see your father always yelling at your mom and your mom not yelling back, or you're like, oh, that's normal.
Yeah.
And then if the woman yells back, you're like, wow, that never happened when I grew up. Why are you yelling back?
But
Also,
now,
because
now,
a lot of women don't report it.
If you look at that, now you have to train yourself, basically. Do you think it's okay because your mom is not saying anything to actually let your dad do that? You think it's okay? You have to train yourself. So people have actually seen that and actually they probably grew up to be something
But how
really
do they
cool.
train themselves? They have to be around people that's not like that.
You have to train yourself in terms of things that's actually happened. I know some of us have probably experienced some things that's happened before. So you have to create your own narrative. What do you want to be in this life that you're in? I know we've seen crazy things. We've been seeing domestic violence and everything. But as you grow up, you decide to say, this is not what I want because it's not something positive, right? So the opposite is something, if it's something negative, then the opposite is something positive. So we have to create that route for ourselves and not do what we've seen before or not and make that as an excuse to do that. So you have to, as you grow up, and you have to create yourself to make sure that this is what I've seen and this is not what I want to be and this is not what I want to happen to somebody else, right? So you create that. Once you have that mentality and you can do that and you train yourself to have that kind of mindset, and yeah.
I think people that don't see things like that.
I think education is part of it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Consequences. Like,
we have
some people
to
don't
get to
know.
that.
Some people just don't know.
You feel when something is
So how you
True. Way before you get yourself in a relationship.
Yeah, growing up, like you see certain things. I'm gonna be real. Growing up, there's certain things I did like see, not only with like my family, but with other people. I'm like, something about this ain't right, and I'm like, nah, I can't be like this. I can't tell you what it was. I can't say that, I was around somebody who didn't do it, but it was a constant like, this ain't working out.
From what I've seen and what I've experienced, sometimes the girls do take it far. Even sometimes when you don't hit them, they're like, he slapped me. Like when you do that, like they like, they exaggerate everything, and then it's like, oh, why
they play victim.
They play victim all the time. Like they exaggerate a lot. It's not even funny. Like sometimes you don't even mean to hit them, and then before you raise your hands, they're already screaming, he slapped me. Like they know that for sure. Like they do that too much, and he has to stop.
I do understand that victim thing, but I do see it. This is the victim shaming thing. This is one of the reasons why women feel like they can't come and say something, because if your natural instinct is think, oh well, what did you do? Like I've had friends where you read a story and the guy hit her, and then the natural instinct of the guy is, well, she must have done something.
Right.
That's and now I'm not saying once again that women don't do stuff,
but it's not an excuse.
It's not the first thing that I feel like she led to.
But also, I want to say that, like, but even if you let's say you grew up around like seeing somebody do something abusive, or like let's say your dad was an abusive, it's not an excuse to become an abusive person. Like we all grew up around things that has happened to us, but it's just that doesn't mean that has to trickle down to you. You know what I mean? That's not an excuse. Like I don't like when people say, "Oh well," they're like, "Oh well, he's like that because his dad was like this, or he's like that." That's just blaming somebody else and not taking responsibility. Just because you grew up, around a parent that is an abusive parent doesn't mean that you have to become an abusive person. If you grew up around a parent that is alcoholic, doesn't mean you have to become alcoholic. It doesn't justify your behavior. You're an adult. You can learn. Like I've seen a lot of things. I grew up around people. Just because my dad acts a certain way doesn't mean that I have to act a certain way in a relationship. Like just because my parents have a certain kind of relationship doesn't mean that I have to find myself in that kind of relationship. Like everyone is different, and like in this world, we learn from outside of our home. So to me, there is no excuse. Yes, I'm pretty sure that it has an influence on who you are, but if anything, it should teach you to be a better person, to not be like, what you've been around. So to say that, my dad was abusive, so I grew up around that, so I'm an abusive person, I think is a cop-out to owning, your own mistake.
At the end of the day, you control your own life.
Yeah,
you control what happens to you. You create your own path, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you want to go to the bad one to just go and be smacking person because I grew up.
Yeah.
You want to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jesus. Let's go back to the Chris Brown situation because I want to use that, right?
Right, I started about that.
When they were interviewing him one day, he said, you know, I saw my mom. I thought I was I don't know if I could curse, but I want to curse right now. But I thought that was bullshit.
Definitely. I think you're right, because a lot of these men use the excuse of that's what I grew up seeing, and so I'm going to replicate it and use that as some sort of excuse to make it okay. However, I think a lot of the time people manipulate this whole idea of because I've seen it, now I have to do it, right? They manipulate that to gain sympathy. Now, when people manipulate the whole, you've seen it growing up in your household, and then justify it with doing it as like a grown-up, as an adult, I think it's terrible. I think sometimes we allow it to pass. I think psychology allows us to almost accept that it's okay because someone has grown up seeing it, that they can replicate it. I don't think, that's not how the world works. We don't replicate everything we see. As an adult, as you're grown, you're educating yourself, you deserve to have the repercussions that come with that, with your actions. Now, Chris Brown is a public figure. Remember that. He has a lot of scrutiny regardless of what he does. And he recently just released his documentary, and he addresses that. So I think a lot of people I've spoken to who actually heard what they read in the press and listened to this his story in his documentary where he talks about it actually really in depth, because now the court case is done. One of the things I've heard he discussed is what he was instigated, and some of the things that you may have not heard that his girlfriend at the time did have come out to light now.
That doesn't make it
and it doesn't justify it at all. And that's what I was going to ask you ladies. Instigating, what do you think about that? Do you think women instigate some of these things? Do you think...
I would have to say, my mother always told me never step to a man like a man, because it will hoop you like a man. Like, know a man position and respect that.
Instigating is definitely, possible. I think some women, like she mentioned, tend to go a little overboard. But like for me, it's still not an excuse for, a man to hit a woman. But
inside society, as human beings, if I go like this, you're going to flinch. Like, at the end of the day, people, I know we're in society, and society says, oh, don't hit, and don't hit, honestly. That's how I feel. I really hate when people put their hands on someone else. I don't care if it's a guy versus guy, guy versus woman, unless it's extremely warranted, like bodily harm, real bodily harm is about to be, is about to happen, things like that, something that's threatening you, where you feel like you actually have to defend yourself, So aside from that, it's so corny. But at the end of the day, if you're raising your hand on someone, I feel they have all right to defend themselves. If it's really to that extent as to where they feel like you are really causing bodily harm. Of course, every situation is different, but some women push it overboard.
It seems like we're projecting a negative image, like we are we provoke the situation. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Let me explain one thing to you guys. The same way you spoke about insecurities and you're open and you're owning up to that, women are also owning up to the fact that sometimes we are wrong. There's times in issues like this when the women are wrong sometimes, but you hear them as the victim. And sometimes these stories need to come out and show the role that they played in some of these issues. It's not right at all. It doesn't make it right to put your hands on anybody. It doesn't make it right for a man to put his hands on a woman or a woman to put her hands on a man. But it's just great that we can sit here and talk openly about
and acknowledge the fact that
sometimes there are cases like this. They may not be the majority.
To blame a man, especially a black man. Like, I mean, if I say I report to the police station that my boyfriend hit me, they're not even gonna ask more questions. They're gonna come knock on your door and that's it. Because you're a man and you're a black man in America. It's easier to profile a black man. Even though they said this is a man's world, it's not really our man's world, it's more for the, other races. And I think as a black man, they do get a lot more negative, profile thrown at them. So that's easy to do that. And I feel like if you know that it wasn't that deep, it wasn't that serious, I feel like it's wrong.
Yeah, but
Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, all right, we talked about women instigating, but my question is, why do y'all instigate?
There's no answer to
like,
that.
wow,
Every
like,
case is completely
Yeah, every case
different.
is every case is different.
Like to touch on, I forgot who said it. I think it was
Wabi?
Tayo that said it. No, someone said it about women who want guys to be aggressive with them. Yeah, I watched some video before. Like some girl was like, "Oh, I like my guy saying, shut up, sit your ass down."
She's British?
Even during sex, I don't really like
In
that.
which
so when
life
talking
that you
regular,
tell me to
Like honestly, I like the aggressiveness. Like, you know, show me that you're a man, but don't put your hands on me. That's another
See,
thing.
now some men will take it
Like,
for show you I'm a man. Like, I know myself.
What is the definition of show me?
Okay. Hold on.
Let's hear what Nastrea had to say
So
about
I
that.
consider myself as an alpha female, and I know how aggressive I am.
Ah,
So usually guys are intimidated by me, and I would like a guy who's confident when they're next to me. You know, and I would like to see that aggressive side, but that doesn't mean I want this person to hit me. Okay, when I say aggressive, I don't mean aggressive is not a bad thing. It could be a good thing as well. I want you to have some type of control because you're a man. Like men are supposed to have control, you know.
If you give me rice every day, I'm going to ask for stew the third day. If you give me something, if you're telling me to do something, right? If you're saying it's okay to do that, he's gonna step out of bounds one day. Nah, it's like this short analogy. It just actually just came to my head right now when I was just sitting there. But the straight was saying something that had to do with like aggressive but not too much and everything. But I'm saying that if you keep getting rice every day and you don't like stew, one day somebody's going to add that stew in your rice, right? So it's this thing of, if you say I don't want, sometimes there's no limit to something like that. You can't say, so somebody probably be laughing with you. First of all, they'll be laughing at you, they'll do this to you. They'll laugh, do this to you. The next day, this will just come up here and it becomes something else, right? So we don't want that. So I don't want your rice and I'm not even going to see the stew. This is that. It takes one day.
You telling somebody, oh, you like a guy that tells you shut up.
That's not what I'm saying. I never said that he should talk to me anyhow.
No, I'm just saying that's what I was talking about. But that's
I said he should be very, not very aggressive, but just be aggressive. Show that you're a man. Show that you can take care of macho. Knowing myself, I consider myself very confident. And I like to be around people who are very confident. I don't like to deal with people with low self-esteem, because then it's just like, okay, I have to put myself down in order for you to make you feel better, which I just don't have time for. So when I consider myself an alpha female, I don't want to be the person to put you down. I want you to be able to come, like, you know what, yo, chill.
I just think she means she wants somebody confident.
Let's say if we walk down the street, right, and some guy comes next to me, touch my hand, and I see you just standing there, that's a problem.
No, that's a weak man.
But that's also you showing.
But you're talking about standing up for you.
Standing up,
but not.
Okay, I showing your aggressiveness
what's your
in a way.
definition of a man and what's his definition of being a man, though?
Yeah.
Two different things.
But obviously, everybody has their own preference. Everybody has their preference.
That's all I need.
Let's move on to
Okay, aggression.
Let's see it. Tayo has something to say.
Yeah, this is a little bit different, but I want to go back to that Chris Brown
scenario.
The Chris Brown scenario, because hold on, because I think we have three examples of men right now. We have Chris Brown, we have Floyd Mayweather, and we have Bill Cosby.
That Floyd guy.
We have Bill Cosby. We have Bill Cosby.
You call him a Bill?
And the reason why I'm bringing up this, the reason why I'm bringing these three up is because if we don't learn how to hold these people accountable to things that they do, these things are going to be normalized more.
Let him finish what he's saying.
So, for example, Floyd Mayweather is about to put on a fight with Conor McGregor. Everybody's like, Floyd. Everybody forgets the fact that he hit someone. This guy has licensed weapons, right? These are actually licensed weapons. And the fact that he's able to only spend that amount of time in jail for
what did he do?
Please, tell everybody what
did you expect to happen, though? Realistically.
But that's my point. Like, you have people saying, Floyd, I still support.
No, I'm just saying, what did you expect to happen?
We shouldn't. No, he apparently abused one of his girlfriends, where he got a little physical with her, and she reported it. He said,
This happened recently?
I think that's
don't
when
know,
before.
yeah. But we've known about it. Every time we asked him questions, reporters, he always sidetracked it. He always moved different questions. Chris Brown, when he first happened, I remember him throwing a window.
I think a lot of us, is particularly whenever we think about ourselves in the black community, sometimes we have a hard time holding our heroes accountable. And I think we need to be able to separate Dr. Huxtable from Bill Cosby, because if we start to give people a pass, say like Floyd Mayweather, Bill Cosby, or other people that have committed some form of just atrocity, I think it just sets a bad precedent where other men who get in those same positions of power feel like those same rules will apply to them. And I also feel like that has you never know what the unconscious behavior that can stimulate in some other people who are, watching from afar. And I think we as a community, we need to be able to call out things that are just wrong. I mean, I think there are certain situations where black and white does exist and there's no sense of nuance. In Bill Cosby's situation, where you have over 41 women coming out and saying there's some form of abuse that's been taking place, I don't think we have a right to tell the women what the timeline should be. I don't think we have a right to tell them that, it's just financial monetary gain and that we're ruining a legacy. I mean, if we flip it, a lot of these women's lives have been ruined for many, many years. And the fact that one person, it was really the comedian Hannibal Buress who made a joke about how over 50 years he's been plagued with allegations and he seems to go scot-free, so he shouldn't say anything. And then that sparked a lot of investigations to that. So I just think we need to do better as a community. I don't subscribe to the notion that because something has been a certain way, we should let that be. I think the first step to changing society is to be the change and to be someone that's willing to call out something, even if it's unpopular.
I hate the conversation of domestic violence, because if I ask a certain question, I'm gonna look somehow.
Yeah.
But
what
go on.
I want to know what
when
led
you're in
to
a
it.
relationship with somebody like that, yeah, and if I'm spiteful, and I don't know if it's true or false, I'm just saying, the first thing I'm going to say is he hit me. This guy's like you said, licensed weapons. Yeah. If I want to get him, the first thing I'm going to say is, he's a boxer. He hit me.
That's what I was saying.
No, I'm saying so.
But that's the first thing you say.
But it's so hard nowadays. I just feel like we need to find some type of truth system, because she just said it. She said it. Was there pictures? I'm asking you. Was there pictures or something?
Was there any proof?
Chris Brown, we saw pictures. Like, what he's gonna say? What is he gonna say beyond that? But he got convicted. Victim blaming, but I'm just saying.
No, but he got convicted. He was in jail. The judge put him in jail. In jail.
They always put them in jail. They always put y'all in jail.
So what? You trust in the system now? You say the system is so good?
No, it's not about the system.
It's so
this
good.
is such a slippery stuff. Hold on. Okay. First of all, fine. If you want to put Floyd out of the question, let's go to Bill Cosby. You think he's innocent, right?
I think he's innocent. Before we talk about Bill Cosby, is that considered domestic abuse?
You got any more questions?
Is that considered?
Yes, that's a sexual abuse, which is a form of domestic violence.
But is it in? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Is domestic like
sexual
abuse
rape?
No, only within a relationship.
No.
It's not.
No,
okay, I'm just
not just within a relationship.
The next topic we want to talk about is I don't know if you guys heard the story of this South African girl who was murdered by her boyfriend. She was, I believe, 22 years old.
So young.
And I know, and she had been in this abusive relationship, and some of her friends knew about it. It had not been something that was overnight. A few people knew she was in this in an abusive relationship. And I don't know, had any of you heard this story before?
Yeah, I have.
So you had. So basically what happened was, apparently he burnt her after somehow she burnt her when she was already dead. That's the picture up right now. Mokena, I believe. That's how I pronounce her name. And that's the boyfriend at the bottom.
He's not even cute to do all that.
And
So if you look better, it'll be okay. I mean, you sexy, so you could kill me. I guess you could kill me. I mean, you look good.
But what's terrible, you guys? What's terrible is that she was missing, and her boyfriend was actually a part of the search party looking for her.
But he killed her though.
But he killed her. So I want to pose this question: why do women stay in these relationships, even when they see the signs? Why do you think women stay?
For financial support, women sometimes don't want to leave in a relationship because of financial support. sometimes they get in a situation where the guy they're dealing with helps them financially in terms of education, helps their parents, help their siblings. So they find it very difficult because they have all this, like, you know, all this guilt, like, oh, when I leave, then my little brother or my mom cannot do what she wants to do, or my little brother cannot finish his education. So sometimes they take it in until something bad happens. So yeah, that's a factor.
It's for the girls, right?
Yeah, let me before we go to that, let's start with the ladies, please.
Okay.
Why do women stay in these relationships?
Honestly, I think it stems from a lot of things, you know, and everyone is different. But I think that for the most part, it also trickles down to our insecurities, maybe, and our own personal definition of maybe what love is, you know, because sometimes women think that they're so in love and that this is how the man is showing them that he loves her because he's so overly jealous. For example, that she's doing something that he's so jealous. And so he hits her because he's so jealous that she's doing X, Y, Z, so he loves her. So it could be a lot of things. It could be that she's not even secure in herself, you know. Maybe she has gotten so used to the abuse that is now normal. Like, there's so many things that trickles down to why
Women stays.
women stays. And also being like, kind of like, you know, blamed or not heard, or, you know, especially in the African community, like, you know, you say somebody abused me, they're like, oh, what did you do? What did you do?
It's normalized.
Yeah, it's very normalized,
true.
and people tend to think that you as the woman is doing something wrong, which is why, as if it's okay, you know. So it's a lot of things.
I think insecurities is definitely one of the reasons why some women stay in relationships. I mean, and that's kind of understandable, you know. I think that a lot of times in society, as women, when we're in relationship, we look towards the man to make us feel, you know, loved and secure and comfortable. And when that's not happening anymore, it's like you don't know if you leave, you're ever gonna find that. So there's a little bit of insecurity, a lack of self-love that I think can trigger staying in a relationship where, you know, your partner is abusing you. If you don't love yourself enough to know that situation is not okay, it's not for you, there's no reason why somebody should be treating me like this, then, you know, unfortunately, you might stay.
I agree to that. I think you're right on that subject. And also, I feel like it's also the support system that she has. I feel like if you're in an abusive relationship, you may not particularly know that you're in it until someone else pointed out. Yeah. So I feel like maybe her friends, her family members didn't voice their opinion on her relationship enough for her to feel like, wait, this is not okay. Because it becomes more than physical, it becomes mental. Like, you really don't know, like, wait, this is not okay. Every day I'm getting beat up. Like, I thought you think this is a routine and this is okay and this is your schedule from Monday to Sunday, when it's not supposed to be that way. So when you see, if you know anybody that you feel like this is a sign, talk it out, voice your opinion before it's too late, because unfortunately she passed. So. And I cannot judge a person that's in that situation, you know, and I'm very judgmental, but I'm trying to be understanding and tolerant. I don't get it personally, but I don't know her life story. I don't know what she's gone through. So I'm not gonna sit here and point at you. All I could do is pray that you could find peace and your way there. But if my advice is, my experience, if I was in an abusive relationship doesn't help you, sister, like, I keep in my prayers. That's all I could do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I feel like, knowing me, I'll say, I will never be in that type of situation. I don't put myself there, but low-key, like, when this is like putting yourself in depression, you don't know how you even got there. It's just, it's a mindset. You don't know how you're gonna be when you're in that relationship, in that relationship. So I understand. Again, I don't even know what I was gonna say, but I kind of lost my train of thought. So,
Sydney, what do you think?
I have friends that till this day do not talk to me because I told them about themselves and the guy they were dating. Like, will not talk to me. Like, I've lived in their house, I've stayed in their house, I know their parents, I've gone to their family reunions with them. Will not talk to me because I voiced something against the man. Some women, like, it's not. I don't even know about mindset. Some women get too comfortable. Oh, he loves me. I have been in I would say an abusive relationship before, and what made me stay was thinking about the good times. So I'd be like, nah, remember that time that no. maybe I was tripping. Can you call? You know, like, and then he would do something, and I'd be like, fuck. Then I'd be like, no, I met his mom. You know, like, I'm there.
Right.
Then he would do something. What? The last time he did something was me and him fist to fist. Cause I'm like, listen. Maybe people might call me aggressive, but you really can't just hit me. Like, me and you are gonna die. Like, so, you know, some women are just gonna sit there and take it and think like, oh, you know, this happened. No, we're there. We're like this. Nah.
You met the mother.
Yeah, eventually, you know, I'm in the family eventually, and they'll just.
I think some women stay in abusive relationships because they are just too comfortable in the relationship already. They're like, oh, why would I leave? I've invested so much time already. Or they're like, oh, you know, I've already met the family. I guess that's the same thing as investing time. You know, so people get so comfortable and they're like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I'm here already, you know, I can work it out. And they end up staying in stuff that's toxic.
Yeah, I get upset, but at least you said something to them, you know.
No, a lot
at
of
least
them,
you said something.
Till today, they won't talk to me. I have a recent friend. She's not even with the guy no more, and now she can't bring her face to look at me and even speak to me again. Like, and I'm like, no, you know I was right. Like, you know I was right.
It's not about being right. It's like I'm trying to save
So
you because I don't want you to be another hashtag.
If she doesn't want to hear
another
it, she ain't
social
gonna
media
hear it.
trend.
There's nothing in the world. You can sit there and show her a video of a guy burning his girlfriend. Completely.
And
if she doesn't want to leave, she's not going to leave. There's nothing you can do.
And sometimes it's circumstances. Like I used to intern for a domestic abuse center, and we had a case about this woman who couldn't leave her husband because he had brought her, like, he gave her papers, so he married her and he gave her citizenship or whatever the case might be, and they have kids together. But then he became very abusive. But he always threatens that if she leaves, he's gonna report her to immigration. Because I think her papers didn't fully come in yet.
See, that's the mental part.
So it became so mental, and she stayed in the relationship because not only were kids involved, but like if she was to like get deported, who was gonna look over her kids? So I think it's
power.
It's power.
You gotta send me back.
YB, what do you say?
I would say there's two there's two
Send me back.
roots to what I think causes. Number one is this confusion of what love is. Number one. Number two is kids.
Yeah.
That thing of saying, you know, I want to stay because I want to raise my kids with the father. I want to make sure my kids come up. And I want to tell everybody out there right now. Listen, doesn't make no sense. Love has nothing to do with that, and kids has nothing to do with that. If it comes to that, because what if it leads to that? Now you're just dead. Who's going to take care of the kids now?
I mean, that's sorry to cut you off, but that's a great point. And when you brought the kids up, I have a friend that actually went through that. That's what it triggered. And I remember some of the things that we were going through with her was what I told her, and what we decided to do together was, you know, we made sure she documented everything. So every time she got hit or abused, she had a note, she had a diary. You know, whenever there was a mark, took a picture, and you know, I would have the envelope in case of that. And then also, I had her practice an escape route with her kids. So in case she had a suitcase, emergency suitcase with things to go. So if anything happened, you go there, the suitcase, you know where to go, you know what neighbor to run to. And then also, we had her open a bank account, an individual bank account, because sometimes, sometimes if you're married or you're with someone and you have a joint bank account, so just make sure she was saving for that, because I think if you just, as a friend of that situation, it's just let the person know that you're there no matter what choice they make, if it's good or bad.
I didn't know that my friend was going through this up until, I don't know, she had been in this relationship for about a year, and I just saw her, I noticed she had a sad demeanor, and I was like, what was wrong, and then I could tell something was really wrong, and she just broke down. It's just like the first time she said it, and you know, she started showing me some, you know, bruises and telling me some of the situations, and I was like, well, you got to get out of this. And then she's like, no, it's not easy. Every time I've tried, it always gets worse, you know, money and all that. And so we just devised that plan, you know, like, okay, so let's do this. Let's get your separate bank account. Let's talk about the kids involved. You know, who are the neighbors? Let's come up with a safe word. And you know, these were things, and I didn't come up with these myself because I had to research. This was like my first time with this situation. So I went online, I talked to counselors as I could, and I was like, what's the best situation? Because I don't want to assume or presume, because I think it would be a dangerous situation here. And so together with the counselor and her, we decided what was the next course of action. Luckily, she got out of that, but that was the thing that we would do. And I would call her every day, every week, and up until she had she felt like it was really time for her to go.
So, how do you see signs of an abusive person? Maybe early on in a relationship.
Like somebody who's abusive, it goes down to how they can control you. They'll find like little things like you have to pay attention to. I feel like you could get the clues right away. Give it like 2 or 3 days, or maybe even a week or so. Like I said, how the guy telling me what to order, or are you sure what you're wearing is okay? Stuff like that.
Are there things that you guys would say you'd advise women or men to look out for when getting into relationships with people? Do you see signs?
Getting into the relationship,
even before you can see signs and you still go into it, even before you walk down the aisle, you may start to see something.
Let's just say
like couple of beginning of dating.
So some of the signs to me that are abusive, I always pay attention, and that's with listening. Listening to body language, even if it's a first encounter, listening to how someone is receiving what you're saying, how you're listening to what they're saying. And that's a key turning point. Communication, how you communicate with one another. Are you listening, or you just want to be heard? And I truly live by this. There's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, is to listen more. And sometimes the best observations are made when you're not saying anything, you're processing it in your thoughts and taking it in, and not just trying to be selfish, I suppose, with filling a conversation, with dominating a conversation. So those are some of the signs for me, but there's so many signs that I think women have seen. And a lot of the time, if you ask, I think women that at least I've encountered who've been in abusive relationships, they see the signs. They ignore them, or they believe someone is going to change. But it's something you have to address then and there. I do believe that nobody is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you're not going to address it then, it's a little too late to address it when you've gone before God and your family and you made vows, and then you want to address it when you're halfway in, because you've let behavior become comfortable, you've let it settle. So as soon as you go into a relationship, it's hard to dust it out of someone's character, I think.
Like things that you see in somebody who's very controlling, they're already telling you what to wear and not wear. I'm sorry. Little things, I think that people, when you notice that somebody is very controlling, like especially with me with clothes, if you tell me what to wear, like that really bothers me. If you tell me how my hair should be, like let's say, I cut my hair, and you're like, I don't like short hair. And so, which one is my consent? I like short hair, so I should be able to wear short hair. If you don't like short hair, then take it up with yourself.
If someone wants your password to your phone,
and it's already telling you what to wear and not to wear.
Does that indicate that they're going to be an abusive person?
Ask that in the beginning?
No, but before, no.
What? No. Well, that was in the face. No, she didn't have a password. But I'm saying, no.
Who demands? You're right.
They demand to know your passwords. They demand to know all your male friends.
Same.
They demand to know what time, to tell them what time you come out, you give them a curfew.
Some of the signs that someone is abusive or has the potential to be abusive: impatience. When you start getting to know that person and you notice that they're impatient, like little things tick them off, or they get so mad when something doesn't go their way, something minor, you have to take note of that, because next thing that could be you are the things that's ticking them off, or maybe small things that you're doing. That's how they're going to act. That's going to be their reaction. So you have to watch people's reactions. That speaks volumes into everything that you want to know about a person. Just watch how they react to certain anything, a door closing, a fly,
It can be something simple as like he has your hand like this, right, and y'all talking or whatever, and then he's talking with someone else, and they get in a heated conversation, and then he squeezes your hand like this. Yeah. That is a subtle trick. You see how reactions?
I didn't even know that.
It's so micro that you really, truly have to pay attention, and sometimes you might have to even be in an abusive relationship to now know what an abusive person would do before they actually abuse you. So I would say a sign is basically. Probably, I'll say over jealous. Like, we all get jealous. That's cool. That's fine. But it's what you do when you're jealous is what matters. It depends on how does he react when he probably sees you even talk to another dude or interact with another dude. How does she react when she sees you talking to another girl?
I didn't even know that.
I feel like women are we're way too
Tolerant?
forgiving, tolerant, because we see things and we choose not to be like, we'll see something like that and be like, oh, he was getting upset. Girl, that's gonna be you next.
Why be at a point with a cell phone?
Yeah, you can't say because I'm calling you to find out where you are, why you didn't pick my call. You can't say that's a sign of somebody who's going to be very abusive. I think personally, vibes. You gotta vibe. You see, it's vibe is a feeling, right? It's something. Like if I'm taking you out, right? If the vibe is not there, and you see a couple of things, you can actually go away from it. I don't think. I mean, somebody can hold you today like this, and they'll be the sweetest guy the rest of their life. Somebody can do you like this, hold you today, and they'll treat you shitty for the next. You gotta still get the vibe. Vibes. It's this unspoken. You can't say it. It's just this feeling that you get from people. It happens every day. It could be any kind of. It could be feelings, just vibes. We get that from whoever you decide to share something with. It could be a story, right? I can sit here and tell you a story right now. Then you start getting some kind of stuff around, like, this makes sense. That's the vibe you're getting from that.
I think you might catch a vibe, I'm sure, within that time. But one point I'll make is even when you go on like a first date or whatever it is, I think for me personally, I pay attention to how much I'm listening and how much they're listening. And if somebody's just talking and rambling over about themselves or keeps cutting you off, or that says something. They're not letting you. They don't want to know as much about you. And there's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. All right, guys. Still on the topic, we touched on this earlier. Have any of you ever experienced or witnessed domestic violence, abuse, maybe?
My best friend, like 10 years ago, he was my best friend. We don't speak till now because of this issue. So he and this girl, back and forth, every day, problems, fighting. He hits her and she has a smart mouth. Like as soon as he hits her, she would scream, your mom is a prostitute, blah, blah. And then the next day they back together, like the same thing. And then one day I just jump in, I'm like, yo, you guys chill. Like I pushed them, I was like, yo, relax. And then now they ganged up on me. After that incident, I try not to, like, even if when I see people in a relationship and they do something, I just, because it was a bad experience, because we had me and him got into a physical fight. And that was my best friend. What?
Over that?
Really?
We had a physical fight. Like that. And even because that was my best friend, like everybody in the neighborhood knew, and my mom had to, everybody went to his house to attack them and his parents. It got really big. It got into like a family thing. So since then, I try not to get involved in anybody's relationship for me because it affected me.
Yeah, I still feel, look.
And we still don't talk. And
but at least you tried.
Situations happen, things happen like that, but it shouldn't be a ground for you to say if you see something else you take away from. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to promote love, peace, and unity. So it doesn't mean that if one person doesn't agree to your ideology, you're gonna stop.
I don't have any friends who have experienced abuse. I don't know anyone personally who has experienced abuse. So it hasn't really hit home to me. And I just pray that I don't experience that, because I don't even know what I would do. I think I would just, I'd be so upset.
Look, in a relationship, there's fights. I want us to understand this, right? There's fights sometimes.
Physical fight?
I
don't think there should be.
There shouldn't be no physical, no physical. But emotional. Something happened and war quarrel and everything. That happens.
Yeah, I feel like once it comes to physical abuse,
it's a very tricky.
I'm sorry.
And
who would you
it's
recommend
very
to
tricky
talk to,
even
though?
with kids, you guys.
If you have kids like that, who would you recommend to talk to?
If you have kids, honestly, it starts with yourself. You pray. You go to church, you try to pray and try to have a relationship with God. And then if that doesn't help you enough to leave, you try to seek help from the closest person to you. That would be my mom. And even your kids. If your kids are old enough, you could be open with your kid. Like, listen to your daughter, listen. With your father, it's not happening. This is be open, talk about it. Don't tell your kids.
You don't want your kid to see that.
Exactly.
If you really care about your kids, you wouldn't want that to happen.
I feel like if you open,
you're so gone.
If you open to your kids and you tell them what's going on, I could guarantee you they're gonna have the best answer for you. They'll be like, "No, mom, we could leave and we could start over," or have I don't know. But if you keep it to yourself and nobody knows, nobody can help you. It's gonna be too late to help you.
So
you can never tell a wife beater by the face. You will never know what they're doing behind closed door when no one is around. You can never know. It's really hard to read people. And nowadays, people could just hide themselves and could be really good at persuading you to be someone they're not when they really are that person. That's why it's important to Google. If she had Googled him, maybe none of that would happen. I'm just saying, if she did her background check, she would have seen a long list of stuff, and maybe she could, she would not be in that situation.
Yeah. So always talk to someone you trust.
Always talk to somebody you trust.
And just to add to that about kids, just from people I know and within close proximity, kids see a lot. By the way, and a lot of the time people have advised them, your kids see everything.
Yeah.
And the way you remember like childhood memories so distinctly, kids remember.
I can remember
you said you were one of them?
I was one of them.
And
domestic violence.
And that put in your mind that you were not going to be.
See, the thing is, everybody's different. Some will say, oh my God, okay, I think I'm a hit. I can do that. Me, I took it as in like, you know what? I'm not going to let this happen to me. It's just how your mindset is, it's just, I'm just different.
I like that.
My mother was open with me. She explained to me.
I think it's the same thing too.
And she talked to me, she explained to me, and I said, that's not okay. I don't approve of that. And we start over. We moved here, we start everything over on our own.
That's why you said
and
that.
now when I see it, I'm able to I'm like a radar, I'm like a GPS. I could detect it when I feel like this is abuse. Because people in my family have gone through it. And they show me that it's okay to talk about and it's okay to start over. Because you're not alone.
I think just have a good communication with people around. Try to talk. I think that's one thing people don't do. If you don't talk, it becomes harder. Let's have this, just talk.
Right.
And if the best friend or the friend didn't talk to him, they won't have those plans or those things going on, right? That's one, even though he didn't interfere or anything. He had
some people need help in life. Some people are like kids. They need that extra strength. They need that motivation.
I don't have to sit there with you though.
You don't want to sit there with the person, but you can.
I think just to close, both parties will need help coming out of a situation.
Of course.
All right. So thank you guys so much for this wonderful discussion. I'll leave you with this one statistic, and that is that the #1 killer of African women under 35 is homicide by a partner.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much, and I can't wait for us to sit down again and discuss the next topic. I hear it's gonna be good.
Thank you for watching MENA TV Africa. If you like this episode, please subscribe, like, and share.